My life, I'm gonna take control and drive. I gotta strive.
Welcome to our folks on Zoom. We will be starting our National Federation of the Blind press conference promptly at noon Eastern Time. So we thank you for joining us. And to those of you in the room, same message, but we're glad to have you here. We will be getting started shortly.
Stop you, shoot for the sun and break on through. So you're blind, you'll be fine, we got good news. You can live the life you want, yes we know the truth. Grab a cane, get trained, gotta get moving. Make a change on a wage, that's what we're doing. Come with me, yeah, and live the life you want. Nobody can stop you. Shoot for the sun and break on through. So you're blind, you'll be fine. We got good news. You can live the life you want. Yes, we know the truth. You and me and a bee, let's dream together. And it be you and me, lives on forever. You will see, yeah. You can live the life you want, nobody can stop you. Shoot for the sun and break on through. So you're blind, you'll be fine, we got good news. You can live the life you want, yes we know the truth. You can live the life you want, yes we know the truth. You know the truth.
Feel free to continue to talk amongst yourselves. We're just a couple minutes delayed. We will be getting started shortly, though, so don't run away. But we are just a few minutes delayed. So please continue to talk amongst yourselves. And thank you to those of you who have joined us on Zoom. I guess, Will, you could run the song again if you want.
Nobody can stop you. Shoot for the sun and break on through. So you're blind, you'll be fine, we got good news. You can live the life you want, yes we know the truth. Grab a cane, get trained, gotta get moving. Make a change on a wage, that's what we're doing. Come with me, yeah, and live the life you want. Nobody can stop you. Shoot for the sun and break on through. So you're blind, you'll be fine. We got good news. You can live the life you want. Yes, we know the truth. You and me and a bee, let's dream together. And it be you and me, lives on forever. You will see, yeah. You can live the life you want, nobody can stop you. Shoot for the sun and break on through. So you're blind, you'll be fine, we got good news. You can live Yes, we know the truth. You can live the life you want. Yes, we know the truth. You know the truth. We got new timers and regulars too. Girls, bring your dresses, and guys, bring your suits. Ooh, it's convention time for you. First day of sessions, got the roll call of states. Presidential report, all the things we advocate. Ooh, it's convention time for you. Exhibit halls, scholarships, division meetings, and new friendships. Banquet speeches, a real inspiration. Everybody's singing Glory Federation. Ooh, it's convention time for you. Ooh, it's convention time for you. Convention time for you. For you and you and you and you. It's convention time. Convention time. Convention time.
We're still waiting. Yep.
All right, America. It's about time for a transition to integrated, meaningful employment for people with disabilities. It's an immoral, a discriminatory, and unfair practice of some minimum wages paid to people with disabilities. We need everybody to learn about it, and the NFB is here to talk and see you.
Equal pay, the blind deserve an honest wage. Educate and advocate, NFB will get you paid. Changing what it means to be blind. NFB, changing minds, changing lives. M-O-N-E-Y. What's that spell?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Really glad to meet you.
All right.
I've worked with you.
Mark, we are good to go. Proceed when you're ready.
We'll get a minute afterwards. I'll give you a quick
Hand
tour.
still
I made you.
extended out the window. He sees a big wave now.
Where do you
cameraman
Right next
down
to
there.
you can sit on that side.
Mark Riccobono of the National Federation of the Blind is rolling.
You got some mail, you gotta read. KNFB readers all you need. No need for blues, we got your news.
You ready?
Newsline is a tool that you can use.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mark Riccobono, and I serve as president of the National Federation of the Blind. We're pleased to welcome you here for this historic press conference. We are truly proud to be hosting members of Maryland's congressional delegation, including Congressman Mfume, who represents Maryland's 7th Congressional District, including our building right here, as well as our own Senator Van Hollen, for this important moment in the history of self-determination by and equality for blind Americans. We want to take a moment also to welcome the other members of the Board of Directors of the National Federation of the Blind, who, like myself, are all elected by blind people from across the nation. Also want to welcome the members of the Board of Directors of the Jacobus Tenbrook Memorial Fund, which operates this property, which draws blind people from across the country and really the world every year to Baltimore for training, self-organization activities, and creating action plans for changing the image of blindness in society. And also want to note that our local councilman is here, so welcome, Councilman. And finally, I want to welcome the members of the staff of the National Federation of the Blind, also local leaders from our Maryland affiliate and other friends and allies of the organized blind movement. In November of 1940, blind representatives from 7 states met just up the road in Wilkesboro, Pennsylvania, to establish the organized blind movement, the National Federation of the Blind. They didn't have a lot of the advantages that we have today, but what they did have was hope and a determination to change the view of blindness in society, to build a future for themselves, and to determine for themselves what blind people did and did not need. It was a radical idea in 1940, and in fact, it's still an idea that meets much resistance even in 2025. But after 85 years, blind people are much closer to equality in society than ever before, but blindness is still feared more than cancer and death itself. But not by those of us who are living the lives we want every day as people who happen to be blind. Our experience is very different. The history, lived experience, and contributions of blind people are essential parts of the American story that are undershared and often not understood at all. In 1978, our organization purchased this city square block, at the time a series of mostly abandoned structures built in the early part of the last century. We spent what few dollars we had left to remodel part of one of the floors of the building, and we were mostly broke. One of the very first things we did, however, was to move into the building the records and artifacts of the first 4 decades of the organized blind movement. We began investing heavily in preserving the stories of blind people in this nation, the work of the organized blind movement, and giving them a permanent home. This means that we also began investing heavily in Baltimore, and that has been true consistently since 1978. The National Archives of the Blind People's Movement now takes up more than 20,000 square feet in this building. Exhibits telling the story of blind people hang on our walls, are displayed in our library here where we are today, and come to life in our conference rooms. Yet, the stories do not reach far enough. The stories of blind people are worthy of preservation, study, and celebration at the highest levels of our nation. They are stories of joy, accomplishment, and determination. We need those stories to reach further, to inspire continued progress for the blind of our nation. And that is why the National Federation of the Blind has committed to establishing the Museum of the Blind People's Movement right here in South Baltimore to bring those stories to life in new, fully inclusive and accessible ways, to teach all other cultural institutions about true accessibility, and to create new digital platforms so that these stories can be shared and used across the globe to change the understanding of blindness. This is an ambitious proposition for us to undertake, especially as we have an increasing amount of advocacy work to do on a daily basis. But we're committed to this work because it's about building the future. And while blind people are prepared to do the work, to do what's needed to build our future, we deeply appreciate those allies who believe in us, who believe in blind people, and who support our cause for the future. The Museum of the Blind People's Movement is as much about the future as it is about celebrating the past struggles and successes of blind people. All of you gathered here today are part of that future, and we welcome your support as we build this future together. Now, I want to again thank Senator Van Hollen for his leadership, and we will have the opportunity to hear from him in just a moment. But I'm truly pleased now and want you to give a warm welcome and thank you to, and to introduce a leader who has been a friend of the organized blind movement since some of our earliest days right here in Baltimore. Please give a warm welcome to our Congressman, the Honorable Congressman Mfume.
Oh, thank you. That is a warm applause. Thank you all very, very much, and good morning. This is a good day. Yes, it is. And we're here for a good, great, and grand purpose. I want to thank Mark Riccobono for those kind and really overly gracious set of remarks in introducing me. But I also want to thank him for his friendship and for laying out this morning somewhat of a history to any of the visitors who might be here about what this struggle has looked like, particularly since 1978. Mark, thank you so very much for that. In the audience, as he noted, are members and spouses, I should point out also, of the Board of Directors of the Jacobus Ten Brook Memorial Fund. It's good to have your community presence in here. I want to say something about Mr. Jacobus in just a moment, but I do want to make sure that we understand that the speech that you are about to hear is just a preface and a prelude to a great set of remarks from our senior senator who is here, Senator Van Hollen, who will be properly introduced and presented shortly. And while I'm at it, I want to point out also the presence of your councilman, Zach Blanchard, of the 11th District who shares this building with me. I guess I can say that. It's, it's in his city council district and it's in my congressional district, and we're both very, very happy for that. Mayor Brendan Scott has not gotten here. He's indicated that something's come up and he will not be here. But let me just tell you how excited the mayor is about a national designation here on behalf of the National Federation of the Blind. The mayor was not around in 1980, I don't think anyway. But I was in the city council back then, and we did another designation working with the federal government, with those persons who represented us to make sure that the aquarium, which is here in Baltimore, would be designated the National Aquarium. And people say, well, why do you want to do that? Because national designation gives you so many different benefits. And that's the same thing we want to make sure happens here today with this. Now, let me just say quickly that Mr. Jacobus Tenbrook was, to the civil rights movement, a very special individual. I have a copy of a letter that he wrote in 1953 to Thurgood Marshall. Some of you may have seen this, in which Thurgood Marshall, who was not a justice then on the Supreme Court, wrote back saying, Mr. Jacobus, I'm very interested in the work that you have done in your book entitled Anti-Slavery Origins of the 14th Amendment. They talked and communicated about this, and this was 1 year before Mr. Marshall was to argue the case before the Supreme Court against school segregation. And I just have to know and believe that so much of their discussions benefited the argument that he was to make in 1954, where the Supreme Court on May 17th of that year issued a unanimous decision that ended segregation in public schools as we know it. So in his absence, but in the presence of his spirit, thank you so very, very much. I'd also want to just say, if I might, about a couple of words about John Perry. Where's John? Did he go? You can't hide, John. You can't hide. You can't hide. John is my buddy, and we go back a lot of years working on these issues. John taught me so much, Mark, and led me to understand these issues in a special way. And we have fought legislatively back and forth long before I came back to Congress and way back when I was a much younger man. So, John, thank you for your friendship and your dedication to this cause. So, as we all know, for 85 years, this organization has stood in tall defense of the rights of blind people of all ages, colors, and creeds, the impact of the resources, information, and support that all of you and so many others across this nation offer to Americans who are losing their eyesight cannot be understood or underscored, excuse me. The bill that we are celebrating today is designed to correct an onerous roadblock in the current law that forces blind Americans to choose between their professional development and the benefits that they deserve. That's H.R. 1175, which I hope some of you have seen and have a copy of. I'd have to mention it, even though we're talking about another piece of legislation, because it's so very, very important. We believe that blind and visually impaired Americans should not have to turn down a raise or a promotion in order to pursue their professional dreams. And I've been fortunate to have a Republican co-sponsor in this. We put this forth as bipartisan legislation. Pete Sessions of Texas and myself. Oh, okay. Was that for Pete or was that for Texas? Yeah, oh, both, okay. Pete and I worked together, and we worked together on that particular bill, and I will let him know that you really are appreciative of it. Now, the piece of legislation that Senator Van Hollen and I have introduced today would recognize, as you know, the Museum of the Blind People's Movement, which is still in the works, as the National Museum of Blind People's Movement. National. Again, that designation so that... We think if the aquarium can do it, surely we ought to do it, huh? And it will mean so much to this city and to the movement across the nation, but I hope that it means so much also to so many individuals who are dealing with the issue of blindness and who really deserve and have earned the respect of a national designation. This is a fantastic building. It's so much square feet. I didn't know if you were renting some of it out in condos when I first got here many years ago, but it is great. And this would be a major step, this legislation, and a long overdue step, I think, also to recognize contributions that blind Americans have made and are making to our nation's history. So when the museum opens its doors, and it will, we're going to fight this tooth and nail to win this. When it opens its doors, as you know, it will be the first museum of its kind, a blind-owned, blind-led establishment that will serve students, it will serve researchers, veterans, workers, and families from every corner of the United States. And around you in this magnificent library, as you know, you'll find incredible exhibits that are already available for discovery, like the tactical mural that is behind me right now, which tells the story of Eric Weinmayer, who, as most of you know, was an American adventurer who became the first blind person to summit Mount Everest in 2001, and then later completed the 7 summits, which are the tallest peaks on each continent, in 2002, inspiring so many people to conquer obstacles and to recognize that nothing can keep them from achievement. That's just an unbelievable accomplishment. So it's my hope that this National Museum, with this national designation, will continue to tell the stories that inspire Americans to learn the history of the blind people's movement, inspire them to interact with blind and visually impaired friends and neighbors, and inspire them to commit to working with all of us to foster an environment where everyone can thrive. Now, without any further ado, I do want to take a few words to say something about Chris Van Hollen. As our senior senator, he's not just here because this is something else to do. Chris traverses the state all back and forth every day, and he's been such a great partner since I've returned to the Congress, and before then, such a great partner to Senator Ben Cardin, that it's important to note his presence here today. And it's important to note, since we have a bicameral legislature, I've drafted and dropped the bill in the House of Representatives, and he has done the same thing in the United States Senate. So we're going to fight as much as we can in both houses to come up with a designation that we can get to the White House to be signed at some point in time that does, in fact, what so many of you have been working for. And the work of Mark and John and so many others is not in vain. So please join me in welcoming a part of Team Maryland, actually the quarterback of Team Maryland, Senator Chris Van Hollen.
Well, thank you to my dear friend, Congressman Mfume, and I'm going to come back to him in a minute. I am going to start my remarks here where he started them appropriately, which is by saluting all of you who have made this special day possible and are going to work together with Congressman Mfume and I to make sure that we get this piece of legislation over the finish line. Are we going to do that together? Yes. We are indeed. So thank you, Mark, for your leadership as president of this great organization, the National Federation for the Blind. Thank your entire team. I, too, want to recognize John Paré, who I've had the honor of working with for over 2 decades now on important issues for people with the blind and for people with disabilities more broadly, and for civil rights, which is what this is really about. And to members of your board, thank all of you for being part of that team, and to members here who are of the board of the Jacobus Tenbrook Memorial Fund, including Everly, who you're going to hear from in a little while. But thank all of you for being part of this team. It's wonderful to be joined by your council member, as Congressman Mfume said, Jack Blanchard. Thank you for your leadership. And to Congressman Mfume, I could not ask for a better partner. This is somebody whose heart has always been in the right place, fighting for justice. And the fight we're engaged in here is, as all of you know, part of that fight for justice and to tell the important stories of the civil rights movement when it comes to people with blindness. And so it's a real joy to join with him and all of you in working to first introduce the legislation and advance this legislation. But to Congressman Mfume, thank you. Thank you for all your enormously good work. And to the National Federation of the Blind, thank you for being in the fight for so long for 1 million blind Americans and 7 million Americans with vision impairment, and to their loved ones and families. And Congressman Mfume and I, and of course the council member, we're all very proud that this national organization has its home right here in Baltimore City, Maryland. And all of you play a critical role in advancing this cause. And this organization, of course, has been doing that for 85 years now and been really the fulcrum of the movement across America. And it played a key role in many, many of the victories that we've seen over the decades. Fighting discrimination, creating supplemental security income, that program to begin with, promoting accessibility in schools and workplaces, and much, much more. And beyond confronting the challenges of people who are blind, you have reframed the debate, and you've made it what it should always be about, which is that a disability is not just a medical condition, it's not a question or problem for charity. It is a matter of civil rights. It is a matter of justice, and it is a matter of independence. And I want to, again, salute Congressman Mfume for connecting what we're doing here today and what this organization represents to the great Justice Thurgood Marshall, another Baltimorean, because it is one continuum. The fight for civil rights is a fight to make sure that every single American has the opportunity to live up to their God-given potential and talents, and that everybody has an opportunity to participate in our democracy. And that is work that the Federation has done and is continuing to this day, as you do when you work to make sure that we provide more technology to help make things more accessible, and your advocacy for ever-widening circle of inclusive policies. And I've been proud to be your partner in that work, as has Congressman Mfume. Speaking of Pete Sessions, years ago I teamed up with Congressman Pete Sessions when I was in the House of Representatives. We passed the ABLE Act legislation. This is legislation to create those tax-free accounts to help individuals with disabilities and their families ensure they have the resources to address needs. We just passed the 50-year anniversary of the signing of the Individuals with Developmental Disabilities Act, IDEA. That was a very important advance. It was a bipartisan advance signed into law by President Ford back in the day. And we just passed in the Senate a resolution commemorating that 5-decade anniversary. We still have a lot of work to do on that front. In fact, I've introduced legislation to require that we actually meet the full funding promise of IDEA that was made 50 years ago. And all of you have been involved in this, but when that legislation was passed 50 years ago, the federal government promised that it would cover 40% of the costs of the IDEA program. Today, you know what it is? We cover 12%. So this legislation would mandate a path toward that full funding commitment. And that's really important that we do that, just as we need to work to eliminate subminimum wages. We need to increase access to technology to help people be able to get the full information and interact more fully. and of course strengthen the post office's free Matter for the Blind program. All things Congressman Mfume and I continue to work on. We're here today because as we look to the future, as you said, Mark, I think this is about understanding our past in order to chart the way to the future. And what all of you in this room have been part of is that movement to overcome discrimination and obstacles and open those doors of opportunity. And the Museum of the Blind People's Movement is an important part of that journey. And as you know, as Congressman Mfume mentioned, it will be the first museum owned and operated by the blind in the United States, and it will be a national platform for people to come and visit and understand the importance of that movement for civil rights for a long time. I serve on the Appropriations Committee. I'm pleased that the federal government has made a contribution toward the museum. Senator Card and I and Congressman Mfume a couple of years ago were able to secure $301,000 in federal funds to go toward the costs of the museum. We look forward to working with you to advance that further. But we all understand that it's more than about just the resources. It is about the national significance of this place. And we want to draw people from all over the country, indeed from all over the world, to understand the story that you're going to be telling here. And that is why I've been so honored to join with Congressman Mfume in introducing the legislation to make and designate this museum the National Museum of the Blind People's Movement, making sure that the country knows and the world knows of the struggle and successes of that movement going forward. You know, next year we will mark 250 years since the American Revolution, and in that period of time, our main challenge as a country has been to live up to the promise of equal rights and equal justice and equal opportunity. And what this museum will do is help tell a very important part of that story as we work to truly complete the work of building a more perfect union. So thank all of you for being part of it. I'm excited to work with you, and I know Congressman Mfume are going to be counting on everybody in this room and friends and colleagues from around the country to get this legislation over the finish line. But we will get it done together. Thank you.
I'll take this opportunity to thank the senator and the congressman for being here and for this tremendous commitment. We wanted to close the program by inviting a member of the board of directors of our Jacobus Tenbrook Memorial Fund to the podium here to close us out. I love that the theme so far has been civil rights. This young woman that I'm going to introduce has taught me so much about the reality of civil rights and about the reality about both how it can be hard and how it can be rewarding. And we've had many interesting experiences together. I have had the opportunity to introduce her before in pouring rain on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, which is a video that will be in the museum, I'm sure. She has marched in many places, but we're really, really, really honored that she has marched most prominently in the organized blind movement. Please welcome Everly Hairston. Yeah. All right, Everly, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you, President, and good afternoon to all of you that are out there today. Words are really inadequate for me to express our thanks to our senator and our congressman. Let's applaud them again for being here. And for this law that we're going to pass. Through our past, we can see our future. And the goal is to enlighten, to envision, and to engage. As an African American woman, being brought up in the South, I experienced segregation, discrimination. And I did not know at that time how to advocate for myself. But later, going to North Carolina Central University, and as a student, I was asked one evening to take a biology exam. Well, at that time, I was experiencing the early stages of retinitis pigmentosa. So it was difficult for me to see at night. Going into the classroom to take that exam, I looked down at the paper, and it was so difficult. I was straining, trying to see what was on the paper, but I couldn't see. I sat there, tears were rolling down my cheeks, and I thought, I can't cry. I need to try to, the tears are gonna really stop me from seeing. So I stopped crying, I wiped the tears away, and I got up the courage to go to the professor. I said to her, I'm sorry, but I have retinitis pigmentosa. I'm going blind, and I cannot see what's on this paper. It's too difficult. She snatched the paper from me and she said, I have heard many excuses, but this one takes the I was like, what are you saying, ma'am? She said, I don't believe you. Tears again rolled down my cheeks. But later, I was able to take that exam during the day, and I passed. But the most important thing is that later on that year, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. came to our campus, and he was giving seminars. And I thought, I need to attend this seminar because of the segregation and the discrimination that I experienced prior to getting to college. And one of the things that Dr. King told us is we need to fight for our civil rights. You need to advocate for that. And I need you to be committed so that we can get it done. So we marched from the campus of North Carolina Central University to Sears, Roebuck and Company. At that time, we were fighting because persons, especially black persons, were not able to get positions in Sears, Roebuck and Company. And he asked us to join with him in a civil rights march so that we could fight for our civil rights. 2,000 strong, we did march. And I want you to know that we ended up going to jail with Dr. King, fighting for our civil rights. But the most important thing that I want to share with you today is that the following 2 years later, 1964, the civil rights law was passed. In 1965, the Voting Rights Act was passed. It was because we advocated, we fought for our rights, and we made the accomplishments that took place. This is what we must do in order to pass this law. We must advocate for ourselves, individually and collectively. We must remember that through our past, we can see our future. And so, I am asking each and every one of you to join with me, our President, Mark Riccobono, and all the others, leaders of our organization to advocate for this law. We must believe that in order to do that, that everyone in Congress and our senators must have the wisdom. They must be equipped with that wisdom to make a good decision. And they must have the patience to follow through with difficulties. And this could be a very difficult situation, and certainly a difficult challenge. But we believe that they can do it. And we also believe that they have the courage to face their fears that they may have to encounter. Thank you so very much, and let's go and advocate for this law. Thank you so very much.
That was very, very inspiring. Very, very inspiring. And it's a lesson that is just as relevant today as it was then. Mark has told me that I need to get back up to the podium, to which I have done, and to find out if any of you here have any questions for myself or with our great Senator, Chris Van Hollen, who's here on the bills that we have put forward in the House and Senate, or on anything else. And we'll do it just by raising a hand, or don't throw a tomato, but if you raise a hand, you'll get recognized. Okay, this is a good group. This is. Are you rubbing your head, or are you raising your hand? You're rubbing your head. Okay. Okay, great. Well, there are a number of members of the press here locally who've come out to record this and who may want to grab some of you to have a word with you. Please accommodate them if that's the case. I want to yield and bring back to the podium Senator Van Hollen for anything that he may want to add to that.
Well, I just want to join my friend and colleague, Congressman Mfume, in thanking all of you again for the journey that you've been on, and we're gonna work with you to try to get this across the finish line. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you, Chris.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.